How do you monitor and manage CPD in your organization? Do you ask your employees to fill in a template that looks more or less like this one? I have seen a lot of organizations who are offering a Word document of a blank document, a blank template of this kind to their employees to record their CPD activities. Well, there are several issues related to this template. Number one, it is a blank document and all the activities recorded on the sheet under a big question mark, whether they count as CPD or not. Even if you get someone to verify it in the end, you actually don't know whether these activities have been undertaken under supervision, proper supervision, and whether they're meeting the requirements of your organization or standard setting organizations of your industry. They're also time consuming because I've seen people spending hours and hours trying to come up with beautiful lines and phrases to actually fill in these lines and forms and to explain what did they learn and how they will use it in the future. And it becomes sort of a tick box exercise rather than an actual learning tool or a tool that can be used to fill in the gaps and monitor CPD. It also has no structure, so you give a blank piece of paper to employees and they just walk around, and anything that they're undertaking, every team meeting, every newspaper they read, they can count as CPD. So there is no clear structure, and it is also not progressive, so you can't really see whether they're building on their current skill set or they're learning something that is progressing them in their career. And also it is really impossible to measure outcomes even if you have someone to verify that these activities are related to the job role and count as CPD. How do you measure the outcomes? All you're relying on is your employees' feedback on their opinion of what they have learned and how they will use it in their position. Well, the great news is that there is a simple and very effective solution that can fix all these issues. So let me walk you through this fresh idea of CPD that I'm offering here. Now, first of all, I would like you to notice that it is done in an Excel spreadsheet and the format is different. While the greatest benefit of having it in Excel is that here you have more tools and opportunities to analyze and filter data, which makes it easier to see the gaps and work with your CPD. While a lot of times you can see CPD is done in Word document, although it is possible to do the same kind of calculations in Word, but it's quite complicated and people just end up having just text in there. So to analyze something or calculate something in Word, they have to spend a lot more time. So I think it is a brilliant idea to switch the format and do CPD in an Excel spreadsheet, and you will see how this contributes to the ease of analysis. Well, the first part, as always, you will kind of have a snapshot, and there are a couple of things that are different compared to this traditional old style CPD. Well, the first thing you will notice in here, I have a CPD year. Now, well, in all cases that I have experienced directly, CPD is counted from the start date of the employee. Well, nothing's wrong with that. You can obviously do that when people start in your organization. However, this is a fresh view. And when you set a CPD year for your employees, you then coordinate all the training and courses, and you have a coordinated training calendar or a CPD calendar, and all employees can be involved. Well, the benefits of that is that a lot of training and programs that you're offering and you're paying for are relevant to a lot more employees than one or two. So by coordinating the CPD activities and coordinating the CPD calendar, then you're given an opportunity for everyone to get involved and benefit from your investments. So the CPD year can be coordinated with the academic year, it can be your financial year or tax year. You can do whatever you want, or you can have a separate CPD year. But it's a great idea. This is not just having a start and end date for CPD, but having a coordinated CPD calendar and a plan for your organization. The next great idea that I'm suggesting here is an internal point system. So we're using points here in this example to weigh the courses and sort of prioritize them, and hints to the employees that the ones that have higher points must be completed first. So this has a lot of flexibility in here, and you can manipulate and change, and you can play with it, and you can have point system as a priority, and you can have the induction points included or excluded, or you can do it by hours, and you can flip this around. Later I will show you another example where I have a little more complicated version of this template, but this is the simple one, and I'm going to use it to introduce all these ideas. So you're introducing a point system where you're weighing the courses, and you will see how it works, and you're also tracking the hours, or you can flip this around and make hours a priority. Another thing that is always overlooked, almost always, is how often you're going to review CPD. In this case, I'm suggesting a quarterly review where you just kind of sit down, and this can be done during a one-to-one with an employee, and you analyze this worksheet and see how far they are from their CPD points or their hours, and what are the gaps, and what is available for them to complete. Now, already there are lots of changes, and there are some ideas here that I would like to point out. Have a coordinated calendar for CPD for everyone to be involved. Have a point system and a monitoring system that shows you straight away the gap between the points or the hours, and what needs to be done to meet required CPD, and also the review frequency, how often this will be reviewed, and how often you will change the gaps or monitor the changes that are taking place in the job roles. So now let's move on to the main part of this CPD, is the working area. Well, I built it into three different sections. The first section, I believe, should be the induction bit, where all training is mandatory for all employees. And just to keep it simple, I gave them all equal weight in here, because all induction material has to be completed by a specific deadline, which will be highlighted in your policies and procedures in your organization, and you'll let them know. So the key things that I would like to highlight in here, instead of offering a blank page like in the old version of CPD, you will offer a list of training programs or courses to your employees. And again, you can complicate this, and you can add a lot more, or you can keep it very simple, just a few to monitor. You can play with this to adjust it to your organization's needs. Now you can have online and offline courses, also seminars, events, conferences. There's a lot going on, and you can decide. So I just kind of put this here to give you an idea of what else can go in there. You'll also have the course details in here. You'll put the learning outcomes, maybe the criteria they're hitting with this. So in this case, I haven't put these details because all the courses I'm using here in this example are from an e-portfolio where the courses are all online, and those details are contained in there. So all I put in here is just the source of the training. The type is mandatory for the induction bit, and then I can see the CPD hours, there's in minutes in here in this case. Upon completion, they get awarded a point, and you can see the dates. And here, another key idea, so it's a feedback or certificate, and you locate it here. Well, what I mean by feedback or certificate here is not your employee's own opinion of what they have learned and how they're going to use, but a certificate of completion or feedback from a person who conducted the training, saying that yes, training was successful, this person completed the final test, quiz, or whatever it is, or activity, which actually demonstrated that learning took place and they are capable of using or implementing the skills or this knowledge in their day-to-day job. So that's the difference in here, and you can store this information either on a cloud, on drives, on the Google Drive, or maybe Dropbox that you're using, or you can have it on your internal intranet and you can locate it there. So in this case, as you can see again, I have everything hyperlinked. So if you click on it, it will take you to the course in the program. And if I just click on this one, it will take me straight to the online courses where I can complete it. And you can modify these. And if you have a similar system where you have everything online on your website or in your company's intranet, where you have online courses available to your employees, then you can link it to this document where well, depending on your system, well, this one that I'm using here is actually tracking all completed data, and you can download a completion certificate and also feedback on the course completed, so it's really easy to track and monitor, so I don't really have to overcomplicate my CPD. Well, even if you don't have anything similar or everything is offline, you can actually pre-vet, coordinate and prepare everything in advance and locate everything. So CPD becomes very effective, and that time-consuming tick box exercise where people are coming up with phrases to fill in the blanks is disappearing, and instead they're focusing on learning and improving their skills. So the second section is the actual CPD area, and you can see that the idea is duplicated from here as well, so the same structure. The only difference here would be a different selection of courses: internal, external, online, offline, everything that you want. And here comes the weighing system and the idea of prioritizing using the weighing system. As you can see, I gave different types of weights to the courses, and it sort of hints that you need to complete this course first and they have higher priority. And again, you know, you can provide as many details as you wish in here, and you will know exactly what's going in there. Also in this section, you will have courses that are mandatory or optional or job specific. This is going back to the flexibility. So I've completed this one for tutors and coaches, and you can see the list in here, but obviously you have all different types of employees in your organization. So they may have job specific also. Even for tutors and coaches, you have tutors who are working with health and social care learners, childcare learners, you have business studies as well. So you will have job specific ones that are related to those people only. So you can also complicate this by offering like drop down menus where you can adjust the training, and you will have the courses and the weights associated to that. And the beauty is that you can track all of these in advance if you know the duration of all these training sessions, and then points you grant upon completion, dates and feedback and certificate. And here I would like you to kind of demonstrate you, as you saw on the website, I had a certificate I can download here. I have attached the document, so all your employees upon completion, when they get feedback from the organizer of the event, they can store their completion certificate or feedback on your internal drive or intranet, and then hyperlink it here, where instead of wasting the time to come up with phrases, you actually go into their test or quiz result, or you can look for the feedback that was provided by the organizer or conductor of the training, and you can look for the gaps and see where they kind of didn't score 100% and they kind of scored below the pass mark or above the pass mark, and you can have those conversations and maybe help them to progress and improve their skills and knowledge. Just another, so this is, you know, it's completely different approach, another idea here. So instead of actually coming up with you know, creative phrases to describe their learning, they can actually have feedback from the organizer, and they can work through that feedback and improve their skills. And then the last section here, again, which is completely missing out of this traditional and old style CPD template, is refresher courses. Obviously, not all employees start in your organization. You have people who've been working for you for years, and for them, a lot of things are refreshers just to keep them up to date. So this could be also courses from the induction section, or you can add some other things, whatever you know, is required for your organization and is meeting your organizational needs. So you can update in here. And also for those who've been in your organization for a long time, you can have a specific or a minimum CPD points or hours for refreshers, which means that they've been in a position, or they've been in the company for a while, and at that point you're actually monitoring their skills in terms of being up to date and being refreshed rather than progressing too far. So you can play with this. As I mentioned earlier, you can make this super complicated, or you can make it super you know, informative, and you can have a lot more in here. And I'm just going to show you another one of these. You'll see that it looks very similar, but it's slightly different. Well, this one I made for a team leader, for example, and the key differences are, this one is like a progressive 3-year CPD planning. Okay, so the induction bit would be the same when they started, or you know, they joined the company. You will have the induction all recorded, and then if you come to the CPD, this will be the main difference in here. So it is progressive, and then you can decide for the first year you're expecting the person to complete these training sessions and or have a minimum of these many points or these many hours of CPD. For the second year you can have this, for the third year you can have this, and you can monitor, and you can have the breakdown here as well, or you can just monitor it overall in here. So you can break this down, and you can customize it to meet your needs, and you can change the refreshers as well. You can have your 1, 2, 3. It's just simply, I just added those details just to show you how much space is there for creativity. And also in this one, I made hours as a priority, so you're monitoring CPD hours rather than points. You can still have the total or overall CPD points that you're granting them for their activities, but if hours are more important to you and you want them to have a specific minimum CPD hours for your CPD year, then you would monitor activities here. So as you can see, it's completely different from that old traditional way of doing it, and it provides more clarity. There's clearly everything that is presented here is counting towards CPD. It's not time consuming. Well, it will require some time investment from the very beginning to vet the courses, to identify their importance for your organization, to identify the learning outcomes associated with every activity that you're putting in here. It will require some thinking about whether it is mandatory, optional, or job specific. If you would like to put some deadlines, you can also add deadlines in here, another column. And also it will require probably a bit of time investment into understanding how would you provide feedback and how would you measure the learning took place for each activity. But once you have done all of that, then it becomes like an exercise of duplicating for the employees, because once you have set up and you know your portfolio, you came up with your portfolio, then it is so easy to manage and monitor, and it becomes a robust system of monitoring CPD. So the last thing that I would like to add to this section is that although this is a very well structured CPD, very well structured approach to CPD, it also has a lot of flexibility, and you can be as creative as you want to be.